Hi, I'm Rick Paris. Welcome to Conscious Reality Creator, and today we're doing a Q&A. So if you haven't watched our videos, I have a video on my death experience. So these questions I'm about to answer are primarily regarding my death experience. So just so you know. And this is a person who's watched many of our videos, so he's asking questions that are attached to many different videos, really. And his name is Greg. And so I'm going to answer some of those today. And so the first question, there's 4 questions actually, and the first one is this. Most people who have NDEs are vastly different than yours. You explained it because you actually died and went to the other side and they were in between 2 worlds. Is it possible everyone's death experience is personalized? Some people claim to have met God, others Jesus, or even hell. Is this just a reflection of their earthly beliefs? Yes. Next question. No, I'm kidding. No, that's a good question. Yes. Because mine's a death experience and I left the set, what happens is people frame the set accordingly because an NDE, and the way it is here's your physical experience and here's the afterlife. Vastly huge, more, just everything about it's different. I mean, it's impossible to explain with words to a degree. But in between these 2 spaces is a vibration. It's called what I call the liminal. So you have physical experience and non-physical. And right here in the middle is near death. That's why there's a light, right? They can't frame it as anything else because it's bigger and it's vaster and it's something different. So you still frame it within the physical. So you still see a light. There is really no light when you're on the other side. There's just you. So when you're seeing a light, it's because you're still in a physical experience. You're in between, so the physical experience gets elevated. So while a person's in there, their earthly belief constructs will be Jesus or, like you said, hell or anything else. And that is true because they're not really past yet. A near death is I got in between, and even though my body could sit there redline, I'm really in between space and time. I'm really in between, but I'm framing everything in my physical constructs. So that's how you know the difference if a person actually had a death experience or a near-death experience. They're totally different, even though when being explained, it's hard to tell the difference. But if a person comes back and they're like, oh, Jesus told me to go back, and really that's your higher self, and you're framing the idea that I actually could go back, and your higher self who's communicating through this liminal to you is going to use whatever framework that you had in earth. So it could be hell. I mean, like you could stand on the brink of hell and you're going to fall into the fire and you're experiencing everything because you thought you were going to go, but you don't. And as soon as the belief runs out, you'll actually run because nobody's ever imagined, like, what's it going to be like when I'm in hell, living like every day, gnashing my teeth forever and ever and ever. You don't know what that's like, so it doesn't really go anywhere. So you'll experience it as far as you imagined it, and then it'll stop. It'll just fade away. Or you'll finally realize, I'm actually not falling in. I'm sitting here and sitting here and sitting here, and then you'll come to your own realizations that you're not where you thought you were. And of course, you don't have space and time because you might be able to do that for 20 years, sit there going like, right? So it's difficult. But yeah, this is very difficult for people to say, and I'm probably going to get trolled like a motherfucker out of this, but there is no Jesus. There was no Jesus. There's no Muhammad. There's none of these people. There's no Buddha. There was never any of those things. Those are... In this current space and time, I have a framework for all the other religious experiences that I've experienced before. So it looks like history. History is just part of your framework. So where my unconscious mind is coming through, there was times that I've been a martyr. So here I was Jesus. Jesus, I'm not really Jesus, but I relate to this martyrhood experience. Or I relate to this blissful experience that I had. So you have to frame that. But it really is just you framing other experiences that impacted you. So that's probably the best I can answer. So the death experience is personalized, but it's almost that it'd be more correct to say the near-death experience is personalized because that's how you're framing it from a person, from the person that I was. Because when you die, you totally recognize, oh, of course I was in a dream. It's not even a dream. Of course I was somewhere else experiencing what it is to be disconnected, purposefully disconnected. So physical reality will be a personalized experience, just like a near-death is going to be personalized because it's personalized to this experience against the backdrop of what more is once I'm dead or gone or afterlife or whatever you want to call it, because this doesn't really exist either. You're really over there having part of you is having an experience here. Not the whole of you, just a small part of yourself is here having an experience. So I hope that answers question number 1. Question number 2 is, you mentioned on the other side, everyone has a higher self doing their own thing, watching over them, many selves in this physical realm. Were you interacting with them as this was going on? Is this their main purpose, to watch over the physical world? So, your higher self is an expression of you. It's not like they're watching you. They are you, but they recognize a piece of them is somewhere else. Just like you right now, in a way, know that I had a child and an adolescent. I have every day there's a different me somewhere. So your higher self is like looking at you, and it's looking at the experience of physical reality, and it's looking at physical reality and watching like all of you, an infinite amount of you, but because physical reality really is a finite space, you really can, your higher self is really just viewing you. So it's waiting for one of you, out of all of you, to recognize you're an illusion, to recognize you're a God being, and so it's encouraging you in plural, the yous. So the more one of you wakes up, the more you understand receiving is a conscious, willful choice, the more I will connect with my higher self, the more the higher self will interact with that particular lifetime. So many lifetimes you knew you had a higher self. But how many of them you actually realize I'm a God being that's trying to create a universe here, and I know that, and now I want you to help me. So it's waiting for the one that really comes home, the one that recognizes everything. Essentially, when you're in a near-death experience, you would be interacting with them, not recognizing that that's me. You're going to recognize them as an angel, or maybe you would. If you have a good enough relationship with your higher self in the physical, you will see them as you meditate, as you visualize them, it's going to be them, because you've already created that. So they would be there to meet you in essence. So maybe your mom or your dad, and everybody can be there. It just depends on your belief construct. So even though it looks like in a near-death experience, they're not you, they're really you. You're just still disconnected because you're in between. Your consciousness is still relating to the physical. It's not really back and going, oh, that was me all along. Ha ha, cool, right? You don't do it. It doesn't work like that. But you are going to interact with them in an NDE. Once you're dead, you're back. You're integrated is the right word. You're completely integrated again once you leave. And you still can look and go, oh, there's more parts of myself in there. Because as soon as I look, as soon as I enter the space, boom, the space shows you all of yourselves. As soon as you exit the space, it returns back to possibility. So as you look at it here, it's possibility, but there's many possibilities in there. There's many lifetimes you're never going to live. More than not. More lifetimes that you're not going to experience ever, that are available to you as a choice within what it is to be physical. So I hope that answers question 2. Question 3 is, you said most conscious beings have never been to the physical realm and we are badasses for being here. What is the reason most conscious beings haven't been here? The reason is it's scary and very difficult, because it's like, I don't know why this came to my mind, but if you cut your arm off and gave it to somebody else to use it for a while, and you say, go ahead, use my arm. So it's like, what? You're going to have my arm? I'm not going to have an arm? It's like kind of like that. You're really taking a piece of yourself and separating that piece and separating it in a way that is as far away from the God source as you could get. Because physical reality is taking this amazing being that you are, downstepping it so low in frequency that you are solidified your thoughts and feelings. And so what's happening in that density is, and you're so vast, like one of the hardest things that was blowing me out getting back into my body was being gone and realizing I was about to go back. Now I'm conscious of it in a different way. And it was like cramming the universe into a grain of sand. You cannot do it. So what happens is things start falling away. So here you feel this, you're this amazing full being, and as you're going in, these amazing like sense of yourself starts falling away because you're moving away, and as you're moving away, you're losing lots of yourself to get here. And that's super scary to do. And for a lot of people, it's like, I don't think I just want to do that. Why am I going to split myself up like that? Why am I going to like put a piece of myself in there and forget who I am? Because when you come here and you slow it down and you bring it that depth, that deep down, you're an artist. For instance, in the natural universe, there isn't a straight line anywhere in the universe. But as a human being, you can draw one, you can make one, or at least what appears to be a straight line. On the other side, they don't even know what a straight line is. They don't know what grass is. They don't know what the blue sky looks like because it's a metaphor for something else. But like you can go there, and the creations that you can do after having such a dense experience, to be trying to find myself when it's all me is such an overwhelming experience. Most energy doesn't want to do it. It's like, that's too hardcore. But when you get back, you have a sense and you have an experience of yourself in such a way that they don't have. So you're kind of like a badass. You're like saying, I'm going to go into the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. Boom! You know, when you're a little kid, you're like, oh, all scared, hanging on, and you don't go. Maybe the first couple times you go to Disneyland, you don't even go in the Haunted Mansion because you're too afraid. I know I did. But you do it. And then you come back and you're like, whoa, that was mind-blowing. You should fucking check it out, dude. It's like crazy in there. And you're like, no, thank you. I'm not doing that. I'm happy where I am. Thank you very much. So most consciousness never attempts to be physical and doesn't want to be physical. It's kind of like you're an astronaut. You're one of those type of people that's willing to go out where nobody's been before and bring back something of yourself that you didn't even know was there before. So that's why to physically incarnate is a very, not like you're better than them either. It's just who you are to be an astronaut, because you're bringing something back to God, Goddess, all that is, that they are co-creating this weird experience that you're going through. They basically, you said, I want to be separate. And they said, really? Okay, cool. Here's a space. Go be separate. And now, but nobody's done it. And nobody's certainly woke up here yet and utilized the connection that you could be creating with God, Goddess, all it is. To utilize, to understand consciously, create this co-creative experience, you have to recognize that you are one. And that's a big deal when you lose yourself and forget that you're God. You're not God like the God and Goddess, but you are a spark just like here. Your DNA, your little thumbnail, has the DNA to make every single other piece of the body, but it's a thumbnail and it stays a thumbnail. But it understands the integrity that's going on here. It's the same thing. You understand the integrity, but you're willing to go so far to bring back something unique to share. And your universe is unique. It's only you. You're the only one here. It's hard to comprehend, but it is. There's only one person in the universe, and it's you. And I have mine, and they have theirs. And it's like a bubble bath. We all bump into each other and share experiences. So I think that answers question number 3. Question number 4, will the physical realm always exist? Is there a timeline to it? What happens when everyone becomes spiritual adult? Those are almost like 2 gnarly kind of questions to answer, but let's just say, the physical realm is always going to exist because it's a space of possibility in itself, and it was created out of your desire to do something unique to yourself. You basically, in a sense, asked the goddess, I would like to experience myself in such a way, and she created a space for you to do that. And so you came here. So that particular, there is no timeline to the physical universe because the physical universe is an illusion that has created time. The only reason you have time in the first place is because we're enamored with logic and logic and reason cannot exist without time. Nothing can be proved, no math, nothing works without time. That's why time and space is included in physics, because if you took it out, you wouldn't be able to make sense out of any of it. So time and space is only a physical, human-made experience. Time is generated by the human. It is not a function of the universe. So there is no timeline in that sense. You have a timeline in every lifetime. Like right now, you really know when you're going to die. I mean, you're not aware of when you're going to die, but you already know when you're going to die. And you can alter when you're going to die by recognizing when it is. If you were to dig in and find out from your subconscious, wow, this is the program I'm going to die. Well, let me change that. You could change that because everything in this universe is a function of free will. So you could do whatever you want, but it's learning how to do it, to learn how to be a God being, to learn how to create what it is that I want is the process. So right now, the world is in a huge state of flux because you're waking up to this. So you don't know that your unconscious and subconscious are already creating a reality in accordance to your will, but you don't know what your will is. Your child has a will, your adolescent has a will, all these pieces have a will and they're all wanting something else. So it's your job to heal them and come to a consensus so you can start creating the world the way you want it. So I would love to be able to answer the question, what happens when the earth is full of spiritual adults, because I think it's impossible to imagine how amazing that's going to be. I mean, in my life, my best friends are all spiritual adults. I've created my life accordingly, so that happens. So the people I interact with are. And my life is so beautiful. My wife's life, their lives. We're all interacting in such a way that I didn't imagine that could happen either. I didn't know what it would be like. So basically, I helped people heal and created that they were adults, and then I asked them to be my friends because I recognized the opportunity that I had there. And so I've taken past clients, and now they're my best friends. And I have a more sophisticated way, but that's in essence what I decided to do, understanding this. The more intimate relationships I have, the more positive and more truthful feedback mechanisms I have. Therefore, my growth becomes more elegant. Conscious reality creation is an art form. At first, it's just a process of letting go of limitations and resistances. And because this physical reality, in order to take form, requires resistance. It needs resistance to stop. Otherwise, you'd just expand when you got here and you'd never catch yourself. You'd never solidify the form. So you make choices before you come here in order to have a form. But when you're here, it's about breaking the form and recreating the form and breaking the form. And at first, it's very difficult to do. So thanks so much for the questions, Greg. I hope those were fun, and I hope I answered them for you well enough. And I'm sure you'll probably ask for more. Thank you very much.